All right, you guys, I'm gonna show you how to thread your machine. So there's a couple things first before we even start moving the thread around to set up our machine properly, so then it's in the right position for us to thread properly. So the first thing we wanna look at is we wanna make sure we raise the thread take-up lever to its highest position by turning the hand wheel counterclockwise. This is the take-up lever right here. It's this metal one right here with a hook inside of it. This should be sticking up just like how it is. If it's not, you're gonna turn your hand wheel, which is the knob on the side here, right on the side of your sewing machine. I'm gonna turn it towards me, that's counterclockwise, until it comes back up. Okay, so you can see it kind of goes down. I don't want it down, I want it to stay up, okay? That's the first thing. Then I wanna make sure that my presser foot is up. So I have my lever for my presser foot back here. It's this little black lever. If my presser foot is down, like this, then I wanna make sure that it goes back up. So let's put that up, okay? So this is up right now. And then I also wanna make sure I place a spool on the spool pin with thread coming off as shown. So here we go. Here is my spool of thread. This has already been started and I'm gonna put it on my spool pin, but if it's the brand new spool of thread that's around this little section down here, I wanna make sure I remove that first, get it all unwound first, so then it's on this part as well, okay? So I'm gonna put my spool on the spool pin right here, and I want my thread to be on my left side of the spool, okay? Now I'm gonna go through step by step. If you guys get stuck, these directions are gonna be in your student manual beside your sewing machine as well, that you can refer to with all the directions and the pictures too, okay? But step one, pass the thread through the top cover thread guide. So it's this one right here, this guide right here, this little hook. I'm gonna take the thread and I'm just gonna go underneath this little hook and then pull, and you guys can see how it's now attached on there, okay? Step two, draw the end of thread around the upper thread guide. This is my upper thread guide. It's the one on the left-hand side. So I'm gonna now take my thread and go underneath there, just like this, okay? Step three, while holding the thread near the spool, draw the end of the thread down around the check spring holder. So I'm gonna go down and I'm going to go underneath this piece here and go back up again. There's a little spring in there. You're gonna see this little metal piece kind of go up, and you go back up like this, okay? So I'm going up again. Then step four is I wanna firmly draw the thread up and from left to right over the take-up lever, then down into the take-up lever eye. So I'm gonna go back down through this one, which we looked at before. I'm gonna wrap it around through that little hook, come back down, and like this, okay? Then I wanna go through the lower thread guides. So I wanna go down through this one. That's a thread guide right here. There's also a thread guide right here. There's two of them, one, two. One, then I'm gonna go, so my thread is now trapped in those two little guides, okay? Okay, so I have just brought my thread through my two thread guides, one, two, okay? Now I am on step six. Slide the thread behind the needle bar thread guide on the left. There's gonna be kind of like this little metal hook type thing on the left-hand side. I'm gonna put my thread around it and then bring it back towards me like this. So it's kind of tucked in right there and pretty snug, okay? And the very last thing you're gonna do is you're going to thread your needle. I'm actually gonna drop my presser foot down using the lever just so I have a little more space, just like that. And I'm gonna thread from front to back. So as you guys know before, when we've done hand sewing, I can cut off the end here kind of on an angle, so it makes it easier to thread. I can lick my fingers and lick the thread, and then I'm going just to guide this thread into my needle. Okay, I just got my thread through the eye of the needle right here. I'm gonna bring my presser foot back up again, because this is a good habit to get into. And I'm gonna bring this thread through the slot in the front of the presser foot, right here, the very front, and I'm gonna have the thread coming out the back. That's where I want my thread pieces eventually when I start sewing, is all my thread back here, so they don't get all tangled up here. And that's how you thread your machine.